Hello, I'm Ron Casteel. We started this series of videos exploring the concept that people buy homes to satisfy needs. And we defined a need as a condition or situation in which something is wanted or required. In our next two videos, we'll use another acronym to help us identify a buyer's needs. Seems like there are a lot of those acronyms in the sales business, doesn't it? This acronym is based upon important ways that housing meets an individual's needs, whether required or wanted. The approach we will now examine will help you during the FBI system of home demonstration. It will help you uncover needs that are not always completely articulated. Sometimes important needs are not fully developed and only become important when a feature in the home satisfies a need that can't come close to being satisfied in the client's current residence. The proverbial aha moment is what I call it. And yes, I have several stories of aha moments. The new acronym is CRISP, C-R-I-S-P. It was first used by Dave Stone, a new home sales trainer who developed it to explain his hierarchy of needs in his book, New Home Sales. Dave determined that a home can satisfy the needs of comfort, convenience, romance, identity, security, and privacy. And that leads us to C-R-I-S-P, CRISP. Actually, there are two C's, but that would mess up the memory aid. C stands for comfort and convenience, R stands for romance, I stands for identity, S stands for safety, and P, of course, stands for privacy. Now we have a harder task in front of us. Maybe not hard, but certainly time-consuming. And it requires you to stretch your mind as we identify what needs are met by unique features of a specific Homeport home. You must take your time. It takes homework. And consider features as they relate to any of the needs that are represented in the CRISP acronym. Let's review for just a moment. We've already determined that people buy homes that satisfy their needs. But almost any home will satisfy the need to keep out the rain or the cold. Almost any home will satisfy the need not to share a bathroom with a dozen fellow human beings. But can you imagine how different that need would be for someone who lived in a commune rather than an individual who lived on a remote mountaintop? It's the same bathroom, but way different perceptions by the two individuals I just described. Your objective is to determine the relative value of that private bathroom for these two very different people. With FBI and CRISP, you can do just that. We have two tasks. First is what needs are best satisfied by the property we're presenting. And two, what needs are paramount in the client. Your goal? Simple. Find a match. A word of caution here. As we examine features for need satisfaction possibilities, we have to be careful to not interject personal feelings into the analysis. You may find first floor master suites completely unappealing. I guess that means they do not meet your needs for sure. But what needs could a client have that would cause that feature to be exactly the right feature for them? You get the idea. Let's begin. C, comfort and convenience. A common definition of comfort is something that affords physical ease and relaxation. What feature in a home could provide that? How about master suite? How about a home theater in the basement, even if it's to be built later? What about the backyard and patio? And please, how does this home compare to the existing home in terms of comfort? And don't just point out a feature. They can see it, for goodness sakes. Have them tell you if they have it now, if they don't have it now, and whether or not it's important to them to have it. How would it feel if they had that feature? I sometimes think that we should not ever talk about the square footage of a home. I know that's a naive approach, but too often people focus on square footage. You should never present a home by the square foot. You should present it by the square feel. About that home theater in the basement. Nobody buys a home based upon 1, 2, or 5 year planning horizon. Do they have a dream about a home theater? If the home permits that, then you've met a need and you're on your way. Now on to convenience. Our dictionary says that convenience is a state of being able to proceed with something with little effort or difficulty. If you add in something that saves work, you have a good definition of convenience. Okay, think of that home port home. Same master suite. It has double sinks. Perhaps those can actually save a marriage by making getting ready in the morning very convenient. What if the electric panel is on the first floor? What about the location of the half bath? Now notice I said location, not the fact that it had a half bath. The location could be critical if the person considering that home spends a lot of time in the backyard. Don't take the garage door opener, if there is one, for granted. And please don't just point to it and go on. What does it mean to the client? Convenience? I think you'll find that it does. You're going to need to spend some alone time identifying what features you feel have a good chance of meeting a client's needs. And I suggest some together time with your co-workers practicing helping each other find every possible way a home could meet the comfort and convenience needs that all of us have. We can't leave convenience quite yet. I'm sure you've heard the term, think outside the box. You also need to think outside the box in terms of meeting needs. The house may be super convenient by being near shops or libraries or schools, or much nearer to a person's workplace. Don't miss out on that opportunity to add value to the home by confirming that it is convenient for any of those reasons. As you demonstrate the home and determine if the features meet the client's needs, don't forget to have them compare as often as possible the new home to the current residence. If the new home is not a better way to live, does not solve some problem they have with the current residence, they won't buy it, period. I have from time to time asked a sales counselor after watching a home presentation, why did that person want to move? Sometimes I would just receive a vacant stare, sadly. It's very important that you find out why the client wants to move, because that's the problem you need to solve. Okay, on to the R in CRISP. As you know, R stands for romance, and it's more than you think. Obviously, there is that desire to please your significant other, to be sure they know how much you value them and want to provide that luxurious master suite, or even a place for the in-laws to stay privately when they visit. Doing all that should result in some quality hugs, and that obviously is how we often think of romantic needs. But as I said, there is more to the romance need. Our dictionary definition will help us here. Romance is an ardent emotional attachment or involvement between people. The best example I ever saw of that need being met in a new home happened after I had walked into the backyard of a home with a dad one day. After I mentioned that he could have a very nice deck or patio down the road and grill hamburgers for his friends and family, he looked at me and said, well, that's fine, but Ron, what I see is a concrete basketball court for my son. I promised him one day we would have that. So you see, the house met his romantic needs to the T. The feature I was demonstrating met needs that I had not considered. Lucky for me, I had a client who helped me do my job. We need to expand upon the obvious and consider what a home can mean to a husband as he thinks about his love for his family, or to a single mom who wants a home of her own for her kids, or in consideration of the universal design of so many home port homes, a home that will accommodate families with special needs today or tomorrow. Those are all romantic needs and reasons for people to buy a home port home. We've now considered the two C's, comfort, convenience, and R, of the CRISP method. You have some work ahead of you. Stand in any space in the home. Try to identify a need it can satisfy. How about 2? Can you find 3? If you can find 5, go to the head of the class. Do the same for features in the home. Now, you may need to call your significant other and let her or him know that you may be home a bit late if you get on a roll, because you will find feature, need throughout the home. In our next video, we're going to consider the ISP of CRISP.